What's up, guys? It's Max, and I got you guys an updated to my Mimighoul deck profile post ROTA Raid to the Abyss. Went to a new locals in Jersey City Sunday, so about 2 days at the time of this recording and going up. And I decided to buy a box as well as entering that new locals. Didn't win it, unfortunately, but we did pull and get a majority of the cards we needed for this deck, which, you know, is kind of a win in my book. So yeah, at the time I was recording this, I took this to locals, had a 1 streak all across the board, which was highly annoying. Had to fight Ubel, had to fight annoying ass Vanquish Soul, and then I had to fight a very interesting Synchron deck, which apparently was the Turbo Out starter Synchros. Couldn't really get the footage because the files were being messed up, so I had a draw the first game, lost the second, and then I won the last one. So, but you know, this is just round 1 of this deck, so we'll be getting some videos out to you guys better with that, so maybe by Friday. But all that, so little enough rambling. I'm going to be showing you the main, extra, and side deck. This, again, the side deck a little is just a bit of what I wanted to throw together, what I thought would help the deck combat what's in the meta. So we'll get right into this. Also, let us bring attention to my amazing and sexy new mat of the best anime going forward, Kaiju number 8. Got the sick mat, the custom cards, and even the sweet deck box. Let me just show you guys. I gotta flex. Sheesh! If you guys haven't watched this anime, I highly recommend it. Really love it. Great little slice of life, kinda ish, as long with action. But you know, not sponsored. So anyway, we're starting off with main decking 2 Mimighoul Master. This card has always fluctuated between 1 to 2. 3 is just only if you're playing this deck fully by itself and no other engines, so there's that. But thanks to the new Mimighoul Throne, we do actually have a reason to play this card at 2. On normal or special summon, he can add a Mimighoul monster from your deck to your hand, and while you control Mimighouls other than itself, it cannot be destroyed in battle or card effects. And once during your opponent's main phase, this card can flip up one of your opponent's set monsters, either to face up attack or defense position. So he'll help trigger off your Mimighouls when your opponent doesn't want to, or can't, when you summon it to the field immediately. Next is the 1 copy of 1 Mimighoul Armor. This card is decently good. Its effect is not really that relevant. On flip, he keeps Mimighouls from being destroyed for the turn. And, you know, then he has a standard return to the move to the other side of the field after being flipped face up in the main phase only. However, we played this card simply because it is a monster that if your opponent controls a monster, you can summon this card to your field. So it's just a way to get a free body to help Xyz and Link climb. Next, we still gotta play the 3 Mimighoul Dragon. This ratio has to stay 3, no more, no less. If we get more support in the future, maybe, or if you mix this with other archetypes, you know, you could cut it down. But this is your searcher for all of your Mimighoul spell and trap cards on normal or special summon. Its special effect is that it destroys all monsters on your field that aren't Mimighouls. So this is the 1 card you want to give to your opponent the most to just interrupt their important plays, because 9 times out of 10, they have things that can't negate their own monster effects, especially now that Appaloosa is gone. I still play the 1 Mimighoul Cerberus just as a way to make our opponent wonder. Well, I run it for the fact that we have Mimighoul Fork. We'll get to that in a second, but Cerberus's effect is that on flip, the controller banishes the top 3 cards of their deck and special summons any banished monster from their banish pile to the opponent's field, as well as moving this card to the other side of the field. And while this card is face up on the field, Mimighoul spell cards cannot be targeted by opponent's card effects. So it's a good way to keep your new continuous spell of Mimighoul Charm and the field spell, more importantly, safe. This is just here because if your opponent has no choice, or, you know, if you proc it yourself, you get to see what they're playing. and then steal an important monster. Next, we have the 2 new of Mimighoul Slime, another one of the good monsters that we needed. It's another one that just can summon itself to your field. However, your opponent does have to have more monsters, or have at least a monster, I believe. They all have the varying effect of that, but Slime's unique effect is that on flip, he summons a Mimighoul monster. The opponent summons a Mimighoul monster, aka you. Now, I'm just gonna say what they do, because you're the one getting the effects anyhow. Unless you come up with the mirror, that's just 1 out of 100. Next, we have Mimighoul Fairy. So, when I went to the new locals on Jersey City on Sunday, opened the box, I pulled 3 of this card just off rip, and I'm just like, okay, you know, that's the universe saying I should build this, really definitely play this deck. Fairy's effect is that monsters special summoned from the hand cannot activate their effects, and has the same, you know, monster opponents, but they have to have more monsters than you do. And next, we do have the 3 Mimighoul Archfiend. 1 and 2 are literally the most important ones to keep at 3 at all times. Archfiend's effect is that on normal or special, it Book of Taius one of your opponent's face down monsters, so it'll proc one of your Mimighoul effects the moment it hits the field. And when this card is flipped face up, the controller discards a card, the opponent draws 1, and then it moves to the side of the field. Last up for the monsters is the 3 Effect Veiler. You know, just keeping the level 1 train going on here. Just generic effect negation, nothing more to be said there. That's it for the monsters. Relatively low monster count. Now let's move on to the spells. We have 3 Mimighoul Dungeon. This is the card you must have at all times. This is what keeps you in control of the game to an extent. This first effect is that once every turn, you can add a Mimighoul monster from your deck or graveyard back to your hand. So you're never really running out of them unless they get banished. This helps you in the grind game. And while a player controls a set monster, that player cannot normal summon any monster, but you can normal set. And while a player controls a set monster, any monster special summoned from the extra deck, or special summon in general, I do believe, cannot declare an attack that turn. But I believe it's only while this card is face up, or while you have the face down monster still. So you guys let me know how that is in the comment section below. Oh, before I move further, let me just make this point out very clear, because I had this thing happen at locals where there was such a big ruling about it, and I'm like, I know what I'm talking about, I'm playing the deck. The Mimighouls, they all try to resolve as much as possible. Well, your flip effect once not mastered. All of these tried their damned hardest to resolve just as much as possible. Archfiend, if you don't have a card to discard, you know, I kind of don't think, you know, it says apply in sequence. So your opponent draws, you discard, but you know, if you don't have a discard, then you know that effect doesn't apply and it just moves. These all try to resolve as much as they possibly can. I cannot stress that enough. And should you have a field full of monsters, if you force your opponent to flip up a Mimighoul you gave them and your field is full, they resolve their first effects or so, and then if they can't go to your field, they instantly hit the graveyard. Think of it as kaijus, you know. Funny fact, no. The kaijus, they try, if you can only control 1, if you give another one, you know, it's instantly dead. So just wanted to point that out, guys. So if anyone ever says something like, you know, it just stays here, no, it does not. It just hits the graveyard. Next up is 2 copies of Mimighoul Maker, the little chest that Knight is actually in. Well, in the Mimighoul armor. This card is one of your better ways to start off your plays. You reveal 2 flip monsters with different names from your deck. Your opponent randomly chooses one to set to their field, and the other gets added to your hand, and then you can special summon a Mimighoul monster from your hand afterwards. So this usually the combo to get Dragon or Archfiend with this, and then go from there. It also has the graveyard effect where if your opponent special summons a monster, you can banish this card and flip one of their face down monsters to face up. That never really happens, but it is an effect that's there. Next up is the 2 copies of Mimighoul Fork. This is the choose your own destiny kind of card, and depending on what Mimighoul you give to your opponent, they often will send it to the graveyard and let you draw 2. So you activate this by targeting a face down monster your opponent controls, and they have the choice of which 2 effects to activate. They either change it to face up attack or defense position, or they send it to the graveyard, and the controller of that card sent to the grave draws 2 cards. I.e., if the card gets sent to my graveyard, I draw 2. If it gets sent to theirs, they draw 2. And you can banish this card from the graveyard to add another copy of itself once per turn. All effects are hard once per turn. So you don't really have to maximize this at 3. Only if you really want to see it, or you're playing the pure just Mimighoul deck. Next up for the spells, I'm gonna go a little out of order here. We have the 1 Mimighoul Charm. This card is fairly gimmicky, so you don't have to run it, but at the end of the day, this is a TCG exclusive gimmick deck. This card, once per chain, when a Mimighoul is flipped face up on your opponent's side of the field, you can randomly choose a face down card in their extra deck and reveal it. If it's a monster that can be special summoned, you summon it to your field, but its effects are negated. If you can't summon it, then it's just banished. And this effect can happen twice per turn, once per chain. So it's a nice little card to just go like, give me that card, or banish this card that you likely needed. Round up the spells, we have the 1 Triple Tactics Thrust along with the Triple Tactics Talents. Just because, this deck, you force monster effects to activate on your opponent's field, so this is the one deck that can really utilize these cards the most. We have the honorary 4th copy of the Dungeon in Terraforming. We have the obligatory Called by the Grave. And we have the 1 Pot of Prosperity, which I likely will take out just because my extra deck isn't really built to I would just Prosperity this away. But this is still a decent little card to help let you dig into your deck to find your cards that you need. That's it for the spells, and now we go to the traps. Now for the traps, I play for the extra hand trap, 3 Dominus Purge. As you may have noticed, there's only 1 other main monster hand trap, because I have this card, as well as its Vela's trap version of Infinite Impermanence. These are all the hand traps that I run. Being able to stop your opponent from searching is very good, very good. But if you use this card from your hand, you cannot activate the effects of dark, fire, or water monsters for the rest of the duel. And yes, that does conflict with some of the monsters in our extra deck, but keep in mind, this card and Impulse both have that same effect, only if you activate it from your hand. If you set it and then activate it, you're fine. So don't let anybody try to shark you, try to cheat you. It's literally in the goddamn text. And Imperm is just Imperm. Next, we do play the 3 Mimighoul Room. This card is very important. It's how you get Mimighouls out of your deck and hand. When you activate this, you special summon a Mimighoul from your hand or deck, and after that, it non-targeting books a monster on the field. So this is how you interrupt your opponent's plays, or just book one of their strong monsters that is going to be problematic to deal with. Next, we do play the 1. There can only be 1 because this deck has many different types of monsters. And instead of the last profile where I ran Hat Trick, I choose to run the Angel Statue as a room, just because it's another way of keeping a big monster stopped. Now we go straight into the extra deck. That's it for the main deck though, 40 cards exactly. The extra deck, I chose to go with this lineup of Assemble Nightingale just to attack directly and keep myself safe, and to make a pretty big Material Zeus. We have the Mimighoul. So, you know, it's not mine. Mine's didn't come in the mail yet, so shout outs to Kmon for letting me use his. Just overlay two monsters of the same rank that aren't numbers, and you know, you can attack, steal a monster, but we just use him to rank up into Hope Future. I choose to run the one Mimighoul Throne simply because it's only really here for getting Master out the deck, and I can recycle it back with the field spell. So just one Mimighoul Throne. You can detach a material from it to summon Master from the deck, as stated, and you can quick effect by attach this card to Master as a quick card, and then you can non-targeting bounce cards your opponent controls back to the hand depending on how many materials it had after it when it used that effect, which oftentimes will be 1. Sucks it doesn't really give any other protections to Master. The only thing it does is give Master 1,000 extra attack points, so at most with the field spell, he will be 4,000. Next we have the more important one, being Giant Mimighoul. This card is just insanity. So, for the reference, all non-Xyz Mimighoul monsters you control can attack directly should your opponent control a face-down monster. Even if they have one monster that's face-up, it don't matter. As long as you got a set, I'm attacking you directly. And on Xyz Summon, it can add one Mimighoul card from your deck to your hand, so it's another version of Dragon. I'm not sure what other things it does. Oh, so it has the nice little effect, as we can all read together. Focus. You can attach a material from this card and target face-up cards on the field up to the number of face-down monsters your opponent controls. Destroy them, and if you do, inflict 1,000 to this damage for each destroyed card. That effect is pretty specific and very situational, I believe. So, it's there to use it in time, but you know. Next, we have the Utopic Draco Future. Like stated earlier, being able to finally play this card is so amazing. There was one game I really actually used Giant Mimighoul and Lyrolus, and just went into this and that, and just kept control of the game there. Next, we have the Obligatory Downer Magician, the one Sky Slayer Typhon, and the AA Zeus, just because, you know, the XC pool is pretty massive. Now for the link package, we do still play the one Relinquish Anima, the one IP Masquerena for quick linking, the one Silver Hat Rabbit to get the Azaroon out the deck and to pop spell and trap cards when a monster is summoned from the spell and trap zone, so your trap monster does work. SP Little Knight for banishing and dodging stuff, the Nightmare Phoenix for back row removal, and the one access code talker to try and go in for game. Next, go into the side. For the side, it's pretty generic-ish. I just doing things that I knew would really help for the meta. That'll be for the hand traps, 3 Droll and Lockbird, the 3 Ghost Sister and Spooky Dogwood, as you have to play this because, you know, this game is nothing but degenerates. 2 Donna Wrestler Pankratops. Nice to see this card being played in the meta again to an extent. For back row hate, I have the Feather Duster. I tried the 2 Book of Eclipse just to interrupt the opponent even more. You could just run Book of Moon instead so they don't get a draw, but you know, full field Book of the Moon is pretty good. For more back row hate, the other 2 Cosmic Cyclones, just because we can pay for it thanks to Ghost Sister. And for literally the U-Bell matchup, I played the Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. But that's going to be it for this update to Mimighouls. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section down below. Let me know if you're gonna play this deck by itself, with Kashtira, with any other flip-based archetype. I really wanna know what you guys cook up. You know, let's help each other cook already. And I want to give shout outs to all of you guys. that really watch and help support the channel. It really means a lot to me. Be sure to give this video a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more content. I get them out to you when I can, so please do not rush. And I know my Patreon, I haven't really been doing much with it. It takes time. I have a life. I have a job. You know, adult shit, basically. So, you know, if you guys do want to send money my way so I can help get these videos out to you guys faster with new cars and stuff, you know, that's great. But with all that being said, I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you in the next video.